And one of my friends, she says, I picture you when I read the book. And I'm like, please don't. I want her to be young.
It's amazing though. Casey gets involved from the start. Now, this is what bothered me. Were you ever in a situation like in Brian Johnson where you get stuck to go to this crime scene? I got scared just listening to what was going on. That was brave of her. Do they normally ask the parole officer if somebody gets killed like that?
No, they don't. But
Oh, good.
once in a while they do, or sometimes we stumble across dead bodies because we have to go out to the houses, and sometimes we hang out with the police. Like we'll do
Really?
stuff. I was actually the first female gang officer in Maricopa County. So I had a gang caseload, and then I used to hang out with the gang detectives, and they loved it because I could take them to places that they couldn't get in on their own because I had the right to go in their house, whereas the
God.
cops don't. So we found, we stumbled upon, or one time we went to a house and I just knock on the door and my guy's sitting there smoking a joint and he's got
Oh,
like
God.
20 guns all around him.
Oh,
And he's not allowed to have a gun because he's on probation. He's a felon. And he looks up at me and he goes, Yo, homie, you want some?
my God.
Yeah.
They,
So,
they don't even hesitate, do
well, he
they?
was so high, he didn't know what he was doing. I mean, he was just so high. But yeah, so we walk into things all the time. I've never been called to a murder scene, but I know POs who have been called where somebody has a hostage situation or something, and they've been called out because they have a good rapport with the
Oh,
person,
God.
so they can talk to them. So yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's a very interesting job to write mysteries for, and there are none. I can't find any books out there that has a protagonist who's a PO. POs are in books, but they're usually like really mean and
Oh,
just ordering people around, and so I feel like I tapped into something here that hasn't been done, and I actually had a hard time getting it published, and but people have been
really?
loving it. Yeah, people have been loving the series. You read book two. There's book one. Book one's actually up for an award,
Oh,
Lefty Award.
nice.
Yeah, it's as best debut. So it's been well received. You know, people like reading about a PO. Those- Who
Yeah, but
figured?
you know what? It's real life experience and it's not written in a way that you don't believe what the author's writing. And I've read thousands.
Yeah,
Too many. I've read too many. And you, first of all, you got Gina, who's the best of everything.
yeah, she's
She
wonderful.
is, yeah. And I just had a book published, and the book is good, the publisher is terrible. So it's going nowhere. So this is great. So Brian Johnson's dead, but what got me was that how does Casey become part of this and looking for probation? Tell us about him. And also, everybody, every time she meets somebody, they're in trouble. I've never seen so. I was like, I was watching the news this morning, and these guys are on probation or whatever, and they get out in 5 minutes. They can't find them,
Yeah.
and
Now
these
that
clock, yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, I mean, there's a percentage of people that do really well on probation that um, you know, you don't have to worry about them. Thank God, because the caseloads are big and you have to focus so much on. So,
Mm,
like my character Eric Harrison, he's
I
always,
love her.
with the Lydia, the mother always calling. You do have clients like that it's just constant. Like they're calling you every day. There's a crisis, and you have to monitor which crisis is worth really investigating, and some of them aren't. But then if you don't, and something really goes wrong, then you're in the news. So you really, it's you you can't really have a schedule as a probation officer. You can say, I'm going to go in today and I'm going to write some warrants. I'm going to do this report, and then you get all these calls, and you have to drop everything and run out. Um, and I was a probation officer in Arizona, but then I moved up to Oregon and became a
Mm,
probation and parole officer up here. So I've done the job in two states. Um, and I just retired.
Yeah.
I last worked in November for them,
Wow.
temp. So, um, and they're asking me to come back again, and I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna go
They
back
don't
for.
want to lose you, do they?
Well, they bring back retired POs to fill in when they need help. So I've done that 3 times now. This will be the 4th time if I say yes. Um,
No.
and but when I come back as a temp, I'm not allowed to go to their houses. They just have to come see me. Not allowed to do the hands-on stuff. So it's not as frightening. Although when I just went back, I did have a lady who was having a mental health crisis
Oh
charging,
God.
and luckily I got a table between us because I was like, I'm not supposed to do this. They don't care that I'm not supposed to go hands on at this stage of my career, but I care.
Well, this is where it got interesting. I taught for a very long time in a tough school in the Bronx and never had a problem ever. Because even though I'm little, I got a mouth, forget it. And they asked me to come back to do career day and told people why they should become in educating. It's not that was afraid I wasn't. The kids are fine. I was afraid because of all the COVID and stuff in the schools.
Right.
That I didn't want to go back there. And they invited me to come to talk for 20 minutes. I'm not going to come from where I am an hour and a half to go to the school for 20 minutes. But I was honored. So now we have his reports. Now, this is where it got interesting. Who is Eric and how does his mother drive her crazy? And then we're going to get to the real guy, Tony.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Eric was, it, that's just like a typical case that you go out on, and the
Really?
person's drinking, and you have to do something about it, and the family, not handing the gun, but I've had places, houses that I went to where there was a gun involved and stuff like that. So I took a lot of license, writing this. It's fiction, of course, um, but it's I say it's fiction based on experience. So um, yeah, I've had clients like that, and the mother, you know, she has dementia, so
Yeah, I know.
that's
My mother had it.
yeah.
I lived with her for 12 years. Yeah.
Well,
And you just, I mean, my mother was funny. You never knew what she was going to come out with. She came
right.
out with some good words. And I looked at her and I said, "You're going to get a timeout for all the bad words you." She cracked up laughing.
Yeah.
So I know. So now she was training Tony. Hmm. And what does he do when the mother has a gun pointed at her? And how do we, I got an odd feeling about him from the start.
Yeah, Tony's a trainee. He's a brand new PO, and he's when they hire POs, they go through a training and they get assigned a field training officer. So Casey's his field training officer, and he's just not cut out for the job. So
Mhm.
he didn't jump in when he's supposed to, and so she kind of had to handle the situation, and then he kind of goes too far with things. He's kind of gung ho, and I might have loosely based that on some people that I've run into as POs that
Mm.
didn't belong as being POs. A probation officer is like halfway between a social worker and a cop, so you have to walk the tightrope. And when you get somebody who's um, really wants to be a cop, they shouldn't be a
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
somebody who really wants to be a social worker but has no law enforcement side to them, they shouldn't be a PO. So you have to weed them out. And I was a manager before I left Arizona, and I had people that they didn't make it off probation. They
It's
just didn't
hard.
make it. And so Tony's one of those people that probably isn't going to make it. But I don't want to give away everything, but
No, I mean you could tell after a while. I
yeah,
knew, but when I met Tony, I go like, wait a minute, he's up to something, and he was trying to actually take over Casey's role. At some point, he was just trying to override her, and that bothered me too.
yeah.
So why does he attack Colin? And she wants him fired because he goes out and he does something wrong, and he follows this guy. So why does he do that?
Well, that was something he shouldn't have done, and that's
Yeah.
one of the things that I don't want to give too much away, but
No.
he's he's a loose cannon for sure. So it, it dawned on me in my books, the bad guys aren't always the bad guys,
You
you
just
know?
you just don't know.
Yeah.
I know. By the way, people, this is taping live, and pray to God I'm going to be able to download the video to give it to Gina to give it to you.
Okay.
We hope and pray. This is the first. Now we've got. I like these characters. I liked Alma. Roxy, I had a question mark. So who are they and how do they feel about Casey? Those are her two superiors. I know that.
Yeah, well, Alma's her direct supervisor, and then Roxy is Alma's supervisor. So I actually, before I left Maricopa County, I had Alma's job. So she's probably more based on me than Casey is,
Uh-huh.
actually. Um, so I had a real good relationship with all of the POs that I supervised. Well, almost all of them. Like I said, a few of them didn't make it. Um, but so Alma really respects Casey. She thinks that she's a good PO, but she knows she has to. That Casey doesn't always follow the rules either, so thinks that she maybe attracts too much trouble sometimes.
Now the character I forgot, I'm just writing it down now. Why is this reporter after Casey? Susie. Oh,
Oh well,
I
if I
love her. I gotta tell you, she's evil, but she's so typical of a news reporter. You got it so perfectly. I go, oh my God, if she could put Casey could punch her in the head, she probably would.
well, I've had reporters follow my cases before, and it's the most uncomfortable feeling because you feel like you're being judged on everything you do. You can't really talk to them, so you just have to take whatever they publish about you
Really?
because we have an information officer that is the only one that's allowed to talk to them. So, and that's where Casey finds herself, in that situation. This Susie Vega she has a thing against law enforcement, and Casey doesn't know why, and that Casey's the target because she's just investigating why are her clients dying, which she should investigate, right?
Yeah.
But so there's a lot going on there that some of it I don't want to get into because it will give the story away, but she was a fun character to write.
This is fun. And I take that there's gonna be more. She's coming back, isn't she? I gotta know
Yes,
that.
I have written book 3, and it's with a book editor right now. So yeah, that's called Diversion.
That is so good. So now we have two characters that I like, Hope and Kate. And I love Kate because she's like the voice of reason when Casey gets out of control. I could use somebody like that. Everybody can. Could use somebody like that to bring her back in perspective. And does she listen?
Sometimes she
I
knows she
know, I
has to
like Kate.
protect. Yeah, Kate is the sister I wish I had. I don't have a sister,
Yeah.
so I wish sometimes I had one that I could bounce stuff off like that. I have friends that fill the role, but yeah, she's definitely the angel on Casey's shoulder.
Well, I miss my sister. I
Yeah,
lost my sister 14 years ago, and ever so often when I get myself in trouble, I go on Facebook and I go like, "Where are you to tell me what to do?" You
I
sort
know.
of know. Yeah, I know when the clouds turn pink, I know she's there.
Aw,
So you have a lot of characters in here. We have, let me list them on my, I have the book here. On 238, we've got Eric and Brian and Henry and Nelson and Marge and a whole bunch of them. So why were so many killed? And there's got to be somebody that was after all of them, but I won't say who.
well, the title of the book. So the first book is called Obey All Laws. That's the first
Uh-huh.
condition of probation. So I want to keep probation terms. So the
Yeah.
second one is early termination, and there's 2 ways to get off probation early. If you do everything the court asks, your PO can ask to get you off probation at like halfway through, or you die. If you die, you get off probation early, right? So her clients are dying, so I had to kill off a few of them because
Yeah.
that's the whole point of the book. I was stuck with it with the title, so I didn't kill them all. Some of them just got hurt.
Well, the title of the book sort of says it all.
Yeah.
It really sort of says it. I got it. So the character that I really liked and felt bad for was Marjorie. I
Yeah.
like Marjorie. How does she shed light on the murders in Father Luke? And even no matter what happens, no matter where she goes, how do they find her? These people are outrageous.
You know,
Seriously.
it's a the criminal community is a pretty small community, but they all seem to know each other. And when I go out and do field work, I would see the same people over and over, and they would know each other. So I think it's pretty true to life how they would all intertwine. But Marjorie, yeah, she was based actually on a client I had when I worked for Child Protective Services, and I had to get her out the door with her kid
Uh
while
huh.
her abuser was pounding on the other door, coming after her. And I got her in the car and we got away. And then I put her on a bus to, it was up in Canada, but I put her on a bus to another province to go see her grandmother or whatever to get away from this guy. So that's pretty much what she's based on. It was a true situation that I was in, but that wasn't as a probation officer. That was when I worked for Child Protective Services. So yeah, that's also a very scary job.
I dealt with that when as a teacher with child abuse,
Yeah.
child protective services.
Yeah.
And no matter how many times they tried to deny it, I won because
Yeah.
I was right. And I didn't want to be right. Those kids were abused when they told me.
Yeah. They don't
And they
usually make
don't,
that
and you
up.
know what? They don't lie, which is the
No.
really weird part. And I said to one of the guys, I said, "You're going to be sorry because if something happens to him, I'm going to blame it on you, and I'm going to call the media." And
Yeah.
it was scary because I was right every time. You got to be careful. They don't care. Some of them, they just go in and they just whatever. So here
Yeah.
we have another character. Marjorie and Casey want to talk to Betts. Who was he?
So Betts is Casey's ex-husband, and he's a Phoenix police detective, and they have they're not over each other. So,
Mm-hmm.
and he just keeps turning up because he wants a relationship with her still. Um, and if you read Obey All Laws, the first book, that gives you a lot more information about the relationship between Casey and her ex-husband. But they're still close. They still care about each other. I have an ex-husband that I'm still friends with, so I don't think it's that far-fetched.
Yeah, no, there was nothing in this book that seemed like it couldn't really happen. And I've read too many. And
Yeah.
I've read a lot of murder mysteries and stuff, and I go like, "You got to be kidding! That really couldn't happen. They couldn't kill somebody like that. That's so outrageous."
Yeah.
And I've never written a bad review ever. And I don't post on Amazon for whatever reason because I don't care. But I post on LinkedIn, and I'm posting your review on LinkedIn this morning, and I guarantee you're going to get about 500 views. That's how many people read my stuff on LinkedIn.
Oh,
I have
awesome.
no idea why, but they do. But they
Well,
do, and they keep offering me packages to pay because they said, "We love you." I go, "I love you too. I'm not going to pay you to post anybody's review, and I don't charge for reviews or interviews
right.
anymore."
Well,
Not
that's,
on,
if you give an honest review, people like that. So,
yeah, but
yeah.
I won't write something mean because I've had it happen to me, and I feel if somebody took the time to write a book, maybe I don't love it, but I'll write a summary. I won't pan somebody's work because they work too hard. It's not right.
Right. And
I,
sometimes it's just not for you. I mean, I've read books
yeah,
that are bestsellers and everybody's raving about it, and it's just not for me. And so I would never give a bad review because that's obviously not the book's fault. It's mine. And sometimes I try to read a book and I can't get into it, and then I pick it up 6 months later and I can't put it down. So sometimes it's just your mood. So
yes. And if it's really bad, there was one that I just finished, and I refused to do the interview. I was glad he decided not to. There were more f bombs in that book than were pages. There were about 2,500 f bombs, and it didn't need he didn't need it. So when the
yeah,
publisher said he doesn't want to do the interview, I said I wasn't going to anyway because he wanted to be able to use the language on my show when I
yeah.
was on blog. I wouldn't do it. So
I have
now
a few f bombs in here, but
yeah,
you can't really
that
have.
doesn't matter. That's not bad.
Yeah, you can't really have gangsters saying "Gosh, golly, gee whiz."
Yeah, I
But
know.
I I have a book coming out in May that's a cozy, so I couldn't swear at all in there. So that was interesting.
Well, I've got to get one too. So Casey's trying to do some. What happens when Joy calls her, "Who is Joy?" And she gets blindsided. You can't trust these people. And
Well, Joy's her
tell me
cousin.
about Henry and all the rest of them that got killed. Well,
Yeah,
bumped
well,
off.
they're just, most of them don't have much of a role in the book other than they get targeted because I didn't want to have like ton of characters that you had to get to
Uh-huh.
know. Um, but Joy is a big character, especially in book one. She's really big. She's her cousin. So she has two cousins, Hope and Joy, and Hope is more reserved, and Hope has a big role in book three. But Joy is the eccentric, spandex wearing, man loving cousin. So she's there for comic relief mostly. But Joy always comes through in the end. She always comes through for Casey in the end, and so people love Joy. I get a lot of people talking about Joy. And
Yeah.
Felony. A lot of people love Felony. And it's put a
What
dog in the book.
about Rocky, and how does he fit into this? And how do they defend against him and his men? He's dangerous. He's behind this whole thing. And this was interesting. Why the feathers?
Well, Rocky
Yeah,
is
that scared me.
so in book one, it's really about this Diablo gang, and she's, of course, defeats them in book one, but there's always more of them. When there's a gang, there's always more. So Rocky's like a new gang member, and he's trying to get revenge for what she did in book one. So she's always got that in the background. That's not exactly the point of early termination, but that's still going on in the background. So that's who Rocky is. He's a gang member, part of like it's a notorious Phoenix gang that doesn't really exist. Because, like I said, I used to have a gang caseload, so I always gravitate to the gang stuff. But yeah, he's definitely dangerous, and he has some dangerous friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got some real dangerous friends.
yeah,
Now we have Marcus that we didn't hit, and a really
yeah.
horrible guy Ramsey, who I really hated.
Okay. Well, Marcus is
I like Marcus, though I
so
felt
there's a
bad
love
for him.
triangle there because
Yeah,
Marcus is in book one too, and he's falling hard for Casey. Casey's falling for him, but she still has feelings
yeah.
for Bets, so she has to figure that out. And I'm not going to say whether she figures that out or
No.
not. But so that he's Marcus is like this gorgeous guy that's kind of walks the edge of whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. Sometimes you're not so sure, but he always he's got a good heart. So I love Marcus. I just got
Me
a review.
too.
I got a review yesterday, and at the end she said, "I'm Team Marcus." So we have this thing going in my family: who's for Bets, who's for Marcus, and it seems like the younger people are for Marcus, and us older people pull for Bets. And they're really close in age, so it's not like Bets is older, but so yeah, so Marcus he's a big part, and he's big. Both him and Bets are huge in book three. I even gave them a point of view in book three, so.
Well, that is good because once you see my review, I overdid it, people. I've been really good writing them like about 800 to 900 words. I think I splurged for 11 or 12. There's a word counter on my phone, and I go, oh well, I didn't give anything away. It's just that the book was so good, I want people to read it, and
Oh,
I'm
great.
finding that if I write a longer review, more people read it
Oh,
and buy
okay.
it.
Well, if
And
you
I, and
write
I
reviews on your phone, you have my respect.
my reviews are on my phone. My reviews are on Just Reviews. And I can't believe sometimes people find me and go like, "Who are you?" And yeah, I mean seriously. I listened to blog talk is down. It's gone. That broke my heart. But the
Yeah.
shows are on Spotify everywhere. You can still listen to them. I don't know why they want to, but they might want to listen to. But then we got the final scene. Who is Justin? I don't like him. And how does he try to and with Tony, the two of them together? That was an interesting scene at the end.
Yeah, I can't give that away. That's giving it away. But
No, we can't tell
Justin
anybody.
is he's a Diablo recruit, and he doesn't want to be a Diablo recruit, but
Yeah.
he was in prison, and that was the only way not to get beat up all the time was to, sign up with them. So that happens. You get some young guys that, a lot. When I had the gang caseload, a lot of those kids, they were nice when they were by themselves, and it was only when they were strong in numbers. But by themselves, they would cry. They'd come to see me, and they'd be crying, and I was like, you little tough guy, who like you're crying for your
Yeah.
mom right now. So I tried to capture that with Justin a little bit.
Well, the end of the book was really sad. Poor Tony. He got a yeah. I'm not going to say who the person was that was behind all of this, but I had a feeling that there was more to this than meet the eye. So how does Casey realize who is behind everything? And people get hurt. I mean, seriously. Well, all
Yeah,
these takedowns were scary. So how did you create the takedown? And I was worried about Casey.
yeah.
But she got in the middle of a mess there, people.
Yeah, well, there she keeps sticking her nose into what's really police work. But the thing is, you work closely with police as a PO, and sometimes the line gets a little blurry. And it's especially blurry for Casey because she gets inside information from Betts because he's
Yeah.
a detective, so she gets herself in situations that most POs wouldn't get themselves in. Um, Casey would probably be written up for some of the stuff she does if she were real. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't outline, so I never know what's going to happen. So it kind of just happens. Like she got herself there, and that's how it ended. I feel like I didn't have much to do with it. she 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 drove all that. I'm usually as surprised as the reader is when I write the final scenes. So
That's the hardest thing in the world.
yeah.
But Betts likes her, doesn't he?
Oh, he's got it bad for her. Yeah.
Oh, you can't have, Casey, you gotta take it down whenever you think. Well, she's not ready yet. She's not ready yet.
Yeah, she's got she in book one she loses her mom,
Uh-huh.
so she's still
Her
trying
mom
to
had
deal with.
Alzheimer's.
No,
No, but she had something wrong with her.
well, something happens to her. Let's just put it that
Yeah.
way. So um, yeah, that's a big part of book one. So I encourage you to go back and read book one. It'll answer a lot of these questions.
I got more. I got about two or three more. We're getting there. So Marcus and Betts have a thing for her, right?
Yeah.
So how do you juggle two of them, and then she decides what's going to happen? I mean, poor Casey. She's got it really bad. And then the last chapter leaves me wondering if I know that the people supposedly were whatever, but I'm wondering if they're going to get out. Is she safe at the end of this, or there's somebody that was bad is going to come back in the next one?
Well, that's the thing is once
That's the
you're on the
last
gangs.
chapter.
Yeah, once she's on a gang's hit list, she's gonna always
Yeah.
be. So that's gonna continue. I have a 3-book contract with Level Best Books, but I'm already thinking about book 4. So, I'm pretty sure they would let me do book 4. So, yeah,
Oh.
she's got more coming. Book 3 is a lot different, but I think it's probably better. I think it's better. So.
Well, I'll tell you after I read it. Now she decides to get rid of everything at the end, right? I don't blame her.
Yeah, she's
And my favorite character, of course, is the dog, Felony.
yeah. I
How
actually
did you? That dog really? I cracked up laughing.
yeah. So that was a real thing when I was a PO, back like in the 90s. Some cops found some dogs in a dumpster, and my one coworker said, "I wish I could take one. I'd name him Felony," and I kept that. A whole for like 20 years. I was thinking about that. I need a dog named Felony in one of my books, and I'm all about dogs. Like my cozy that's coming out in May is it takes place in a pet hotel. So I really like I'm a dog person. So
Well, other than this is the guy. I don't want to say his name. On 258, we really meet the person that everybody had to work with, what Tony had to work with. He got roped into this and got in trouble because of somebody else. So, are you bringing him back next time?
Tony's not in book 3, no. But
No,
what
good.
I
That's
tried
good
to
because I didn't
what
like
I
him at all.
yeah. Well, what I tried to do is that
Yeah.
nobody's 100% bad. Like most of my clients, I ended up liking them. Like I've had clients that, murdered people, and I be with them and I'm like, I kind of like this person. And they did some bad things, and but there's usually a reason. There's usually like substance abuse or mental health issues or something that caused them to be that way, but they're not like totally bad. So I didn't want to make Tony totally bad, or
No.
Justin, or any of them. They all have like a good side to them as well, and because that's just real life. um, I just had a client when I went back that I was like, she's my favorite. And I didn't read what she did because I didn't have time. Because usually I read like all about
Uh huh.
them, but I didn't have time. And I met with her. I was like, she's the sweetest lady. Well, she killed her roommate with her bare hands. Like things happen. And
That, I know. That's the point. My last book is called Voices from Beyond, and I have 7 stories, and it try to teach people what happens if you do the wrong thing. So I wrote each story. They were evil and they had horror, pure horror. At the end, I decided what their punishment was, and they wind up in a face in the mirror forever, repeating the event if they don't repent to start to do the right thing. It scared the heck out of me, but people didn't understand. They didn't understand. I was just trying to teach people how
yeah.
to be good people. So, what's next for you? Where can everybody find out more about you and your work? And when am I getting the next one?
All right. So the next one, Diversion, comes out in February of next year.
Oh,
Um, my cozy series is also a 3-book deal. That's called Diamond in the Rough, a Wigglebutt Manor mystery. That comes out in May. So right now I'm working on book 2 of the cozy mystery. Um,
oh, I
and
love those.
that's a fun book. The main character is she's in the police academy
Uh huh.
when she has to leave because she gets diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So she can't be a cop. So she has
Hmm.
to leave, and she goes to her aunt's has a pet hotel. So she goes to help her aunt, and in this made up island town in the Pacific Northwest, um, called Orca Cove. And she has a dog named Noah. I had a dog named Noah. And then she gets this dog that kind of thrust upon her that is just a hellion. And that's based on my daughter's dog, who we just put down at age 19 and a half. So that's a fun, it's going to be a fun series. I'm really excited about it. Um, and and like I said, I hope that Casey's continues. I also have an agent, and I have a suspense that
That's
she's
good.
shopping right now. So I'm hoping that that gets published. Um, and I woke up this morning with an idea for another, like a thriller. So who knows? Now that I'm retired, I'm sitting at my desk most days writing. Um, I have a website,
Yeah.
ccgoyette.com. And I'm on all the social media stuff as Cindy Goyette. So I'm on Facebook, and I have an author page on Facebook, and I just followed you on Facebook. And I have
Too many people are following me, unfortunately. No, I wrote something on Facebook yesterday and I got really upset. I just said, I love the venue. I love this. This is fantastic. It worked out great to me. And I said, is there anybody find anything like a call-in station like Blog Talk? And somebody called me and said, well, why did you ask that? I said, it's really none of your business. I asked the question because I was curious, and the person made a big deal out of it, and I hung up on them. I said, you know what? It's none of your business. I just was curious to know because one of the guys is using Podbean. This is better because I
okay,
could do this whenever I want.
yeah,
I
yeah. I
could
don't know
even do.
anything about podcasts or
You know what? This
all
this with this I learned by myself.
yeah,
I said, you know what? This is like Zoom, And the person that said made me feel comfortable was the number one author in the world from England, Peter James. And he pays for the Zoom whatever when he wants it, and he gets to pick out which glasses I wear. He's funny, but thank you so much. This brightened my day.
Okay, well, this was fun. Yeah, thank you for having me. And I
This
look
is
forward
great.
to
Thank
reading
you.
your review.
My just if there's a problem with the review, seriously, let me know because I did it and my word processor doesn't love me. And I kept correcting it and saving it. So if there's something that I wrote that doesn't make sense, tell Gina to tell me and I'll fix it.
Okay.
I don't want anybody to get upset. Thank you
Okay.
so much, everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.